Hello, welcome. This is a Trainz route building live stream, as you are probably already at least somewhat aware of. And I'm going to show you what I've built since the last stream, which obviously isn't as much as before because it hasn't been as long as before. And then we're going to continue building. So, hello Marquis, Kango, Shadow of Khan, hello everybody, welcome. So, last time we were working on this little area here. As you can see, a lot more has been filled in and built around here. Also over there, for example. At least I think so. I think that's the case. I can't quite remember what bits I built before or after the last live stream on that side, but there are some new things over here as well. I think all of this on this side of the rivers, all of the estuary, is new. So you've got all of this stuff. And then over here, you've got another little station that I decided to add, which is a little bit of an older station that's not been upgraded that much. By the way, the yellow markings are separate splines on here. So the station over here, the one that's been updated, like in universe, is Sorbmuth. So Sorbmuth is this town over here, this fairly sizable town. Then the one that's a bit smaller over here on this side of the river is the one that's connected to this station, and that town is Greater Sorbmuth. So not what you would expect, but that's what it's called. So this is right after the train exits the tunnels over here. So that's quite a nice thing to see when you're driving along. So you come out of the tunnel, then you go through another sort of portal almost, and you get little glimpses of the sea on the right again, and then as you come out, you see the bridge and Sorbmuth and the coast and all of that. So I like how this turned out. It's of course not finished. I'll do a lot of the actual detail work on the stations in a pass at the end when the rest of the route development is finished. And here's the little road that goes up and connects to a little pub, who may or may not see a very small amount of patronage, but a sizable amount, considering that the station is still being serviced. The rest of the things that I've done is on this little branch over here, which I have not completely decided to make unelectrified yet. I might make it unelectrified, but then I'd have to make sure that I know like what I want to do with electric trains, because originally this branch here was intended to be a kind of optional diversion route for trains that go along the coast, so that if there's something out of order down here, trains can go up here, then along there, then come back down over through this way. But if I don't make this electrified, then those trains would have to be diesel powered, which actually might be more interesting anyway. So I'm leaning towards having this be non-electrified on the right, but anyway, I'll show you what I've done. So I've not done too much on this bit until we get to Hepperswaith. So you go through here, and then you get to Hepperswaith, which yeah, this this is Haberswaith thus far. I have added these few houses here and some more of the roads and stuff like that. But all the stuff from here going forwards is new pretty much. So the tracks begin to climb onto this quite sizable embankment where you've got some grasses and some flowers growing on top, because that just makes it feel more like a little branch line that's not too heavily used. Little road, a little dirt track that goes along there. And this is actually the same dirt track that, if you follow this way, crosses the hills over here and goes all the way over to this little bridge down here and crosses over the main line at this point. And then it goes over to this little village or hamlet or whatever you want to call it. Then after this little bridge, the line still continues to climb, goes into this kind of narrow hedge over here. Oh, hello, Ryan. Welcome. Is this the wrong type of snow? Snow? What do you mean, snow? Hold on. Did you just see someone open the door there? Hold on, I think that might have been Ghost Lady. 1 second, I need to do something about that. I'll be with you in a moment. 1 second. What, yeah, I know. 1 second. 1 second. And I'm back. Hello. Yeah, I'll rechat fully in a bit. So, yeah, there's this little hedge that the train line goes through. I did use the main up-close hedge scrapbook asset, but modified the heights of some of the assets it placed down and put in some unique trees that aren't in the general mix, like this one here or these birches or things like that. And I think that it's really added quite a bit to it. And then you get over to here, which is an old disused quarry where the pit that they dug, the drainage that they had, got clogged up, and so they accidentally made an artificial lake up here. So I did think out the tracks here. So you've got a main track there, then a passing loop, and you've got a little track here for a brake van. Got some old buffers over here in the bushes. And yeah, so you've got this with a lovely view, which of course over here this all isn't finished yet. So over here I've got a little embankment spline, and I've decided to actually tell you what, let's read the chat first, and then I'll get to showing you the rest. Oh, nom 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 nom. Greater Sawmouth, quality over quantity, eh? When it comes to houses. Will there be cars parked next to Greater Sawmouth Tavern? Maybe. I don't know. Notice, Sawmouth Railway Station will not be serviced by trains between September 16th and October 4th. This is due to Hurricane Elsa flooding the railway infrastructure with snow. Is it the wrong type of snow? See now. Stream is lagging bad. Ooh. Hold on. 1 second. Let me just see about that. Nope, on my side it's all smooth. Right. I read your messages. Yes. Okay. Flood quarry. Fences are usually at the bottom of embankments or the top of cuttings, but not right next to the tracks. Yeah, I have looked at that as well, but it just feels a lot more cozy. It depends on the situation. Like on some cuttings or embankments, like over here, I have them at the base, at the bottom where the fields are, because it makes sense that the railway property would include the earthworks that the tracks are on or in. So it makes sense that the boundaries would be at the edges of those. And I do have it like that on some areas. But in some other areas, it just didn't really feel that good. Like, for example, over here I've got it at the top where it's cut away as well. But on some areas, like over what I was just showing, like here, I want this branch to feel like I want there to be a large contrast between the main line over here that you've been following up until now, with a lot more space and higher speeds, and the branch which is supposed to feel a lot more cozy and tight and all that sort of stuff. So I decided to put the wall on the top right next to the tracks going along here. I know it might not be completely realistic, but it feels a lot more like what I want it to feel like when you're driving along it. But thank you for the input. Could store airboats in those sheds. What sheds? Oh, you mean over here? You want to store airboats in these sheds? Is that what you mean? Because they open right out onto the water with water in them. Yeah, so over here. Yeah, over here is an instance where I did put the fence on the bottom, because in this instance it also highlights the grade. Because as you're driving along, you start with the fence being on level, and you see the fence going down, but actually it's the tracks going up. So yeah, and you've got this little town down here as well, which is supposed to be just a little village with a castle on a hill in the middle. And my idea was that the kind of the circle around the hill follows where the walls of an old bailey were, and that's kind of where the town grew. So then the tracks continue through this little wooded area where the woods are just a little bit either side of it. But the tracks go through here, and then you kind of come out of this tunnel almost and onto this viaduct that crosses the little valley. Notice that from both instances here, you just see the woods over on that side. And from the bridge you also only see the woods over on that side. But then as you continue and you go through this little cutting here, as you come out on this side and you look over, you start to see the estuary with Swordmouth and Greater Swordmouth kind of emerging behind the woodland, which is quite a nice view. And then as you carry along, you see more of the water down there. So that's a little bit more variation. Also, this does look really nice from this side as well with the lighting. I found the rocks going through there. But anyway, yeah, you've got this little bit of kind of like forestry, like a farm, wood farm area. Then comes out, goes along here, is still climbing, by the way, and then it gets to this little stop, which I don't know if I want to put much more decoration on here, because it is really only supposed to feel like a little request stop sort of thing. This is called Lord Ben's Diversion, which you may or may not find out what that means very soon when I tell you. So let's just follow this road down here. This little road goes over to this little gate. Well, it actually continues past along here and then connects down to the village and stuff, but over here you've got a little river that's coming down from over there that's been blocked off, and it's been diverted to go through this way past this tiny little hydroelectric power plant, which provides some power for London, and then connects over to this river that exits over there, but that's all old stuff down there. But then the direction where the river actually used to go, which is down this way and then through this valley and into the estuary here, you've got a man-made lake with a little earthen dam, a mansion on this side, and an old fishing pier that's not been used in a very long time. Yeah, so then as you carry on from here, actually I should probably unpause, because as you carry along from here, you get over to this little trestle bridge. Well, is it a trestle bridge, or this kind of bridge anyway, with a waterfall. And I know that it's a little bit unrealistic for this amount of water. I will probably tuck this in a little bit still, but for this amount of water to just flow out from this hill, but you can't really do very small amounts of water, like very narrow streams. Plus, if you're driving, you don't really notice that the water just sprouts out from here. Because when you're driving here, it looks fine. So yeah, but yeah, I did turn these particles specifically so that you'd have a little bit of spray coming over the tracks as you're driving along, which has a very nice effect as you're going. Right, and then as I said before, you get to see more of the ocean over there, and then over on this side as well, so on both sides of the hills there. And then these tracks just continue along the curve here, and then you've got this junction where if you turn right, it just goes over along here, connects onto the main line, goes down towards, well, the places that this main line goes. If you go straight, you cross over the main line and come into these two platforms of Benswood Junction, where this line is going to go double track, and this from here on out it will be electrified. And this is basically going to be, if I've got time to build it, but this is going to be I will have to build some of it, of course, but this will be the other kind of main line that connects up to here and then branches off in the different directions in the city, because this line over here will go this way and then connect up with the stuff that I've already built over here in the city area. So yeah, that is pretty much what I've built. This is what it looks like on the map view, zoomed in. And I guess I'll read chat. Right. Not exactly dry docks, but are they? Yeah. Oh, it's a ruin now. Nice. Will there be another golf course up here somewhere? Probably not. There may be another one on the map somewhere, but not up here. Yes, nice. Is that rock layout based on an IRL place? I feel anxious driving a train with so many rocks popping out. Well, a couple of things. One, there are railways all around. I'm not. Actually, there are places in Scotland, I believe. I don't know specifically what the railways are, but there are lines in Scotland, I think, where you do have these rock faces right by the tracks, like that. And in other places in the world, there are so many like mountain railroads that have stuff like this. So having rock faces right next to the tracks is quite common in different areas. Also, I know that it looks like the rocks are popping out, like they look like they're almost gonna fall down if you don't look too closely, but it's supposed to be just a cutting into the rock. I have had, like, the thing is, because I'm using PBR textures, they've got a few weird aspects to them where, like, if you look up that way, you can see the strange stuff that's going on with this texture right now, yeah? And so when you're driving along here, some of the corners of the terrain look really weird with the textures if you're driving along here. And so I've had to cover some of those areas up with these rocks. And so it would look really odd if just those areas have 3D rocks. The rest would just look really naked and strange. So that's why I've had to clad it with 3D rocks. But I actually think that it looks a lot better with the 3D rocks on here. I've also got another area where I've got the 3D rocks along, is over here by the cliffs by the sea. And this is based on an IRL location, which is around Teignmouth in Devon. One second. So, where is it? They're like over here, for example. That's not a great picture. Like here, like that sort of thing. I know here it's a little bit further away on this image, but you can't get that specific with, yeah, like here. This is sort of what I was basing this on. On this specific spot, there's a lot more grass and shrubbery, but yeah. Like that, there. Lord Ben II, Lord Ben's mansion. Got a bridge, Truss Bridge. Ah, yes, Truss Bridge, that's what I was thinking of. That one. Oh, it's the same Ben, isn't it? Oh. Yeah. West Highland Line? Maybe. I'm not sure which line it was on that I was thinking of, but yeah. Parallaxing. Ah yes, naked and strange rock faces. So that looks so Teignmouth. Oh, that looks very familiar for some reason. Riviera Line. GWR? Yep. That explains it. Yeah, that's very recognizable. Yeah, it is supposed to be based off that. It's not supposed to be a copy of it, but it was inspired by it. Because this goes along here, then goes over this little estuary here, goes through the tunnel, comes out here, and then goes over the big bridge and then continues on along here. This is another instance where I felt that having the walls be right next to the tracks just feels better than having them right down here by the beach and then right over here next to the road as well. It just feels cozier. I don't know how to put it. Oh, BR class 50 in that picture. No copy of it? So you won't model and texture a stone Oscom sign? I probably won't. I probably won't, because that would be a little bit too obvious. Right, so on the nose cone? Nose cone? We're not playing KSP yet. What do you mean, nose cone? Two. Oh, right, I see. Yeah. I see what you mean. Right, so since that's pretty much all that I've built, two on the coupler, I suppose. Yes. So, yeah, well, since that's all I've built, let's go fly a kite. No, let's continue with where I was working, which was just over here. Because, actually, I'll just quickly cover what the plan is. Because after I've made the scenery around this little branch here, after I've done the scenery here, I will either go back up here to the city area and connect the scenery over here with over here, at least the scenery that's right next to the tracks, so that I've got at least some scenery connecting the main terminus that I've got over there to the rest of the network with scenery. So yeah, I'll do that. And then maybe work on some lines over here a little bit. I don't know. Probably what I'll do is do scenery over on this bit and then work towards the coastal town, so that once I finish that, then I can see how long that took and how much time I have to build other lines in the city limits and over here. Because while I would love to finish all of these little lines within city limits, they do take the most time to build. So, yeah. Right. I'll rechat and then we'll get to building. Would be lovely if there were animated assets of kids flying kites. Would be funny to put an Easter egg kite somewhere on the roof. Yeah. Are there kite assets for trains? No, I don't mean the birds. I mean I suppose, toys. Does not look like it. Although there is this thing, which is like a hang glider, I think. Let's have a look and see how many polygons that has. Because if you, I'm not sure what the controls are on Windows, but on Mac, if you select an asset there and then press Command-Shift-R, you can preview the asset, and then you can see the triangle count up here. Okay, so that's 1300, like that. If you go a kilometer away, it doesn't change. So that's not too bad. I'm going to keep that installed, and I might hide it somewhere. I see kites stuck on roof more than I do see them flying. I suppose, yeah, if you fly them, then you've only got a small chance to see them while they're there. But if they're stuck on a roof, then you've potentially got years to see them there. So I guess it makes sense that you see them more on roofs than you do flying. Or in a tree, yes. That track looks like a heart. Oh, oh, you mean up here somewhere? Or which track do you mean? Sorry, I guess it's probably a bit difficult to describe to me where you mean. Bottom right. Terminus and tracks on the right. The unmarked area. Unpaid ones. Oh, over here. Oh, you mean this whole thing, like going up here and then coming down and going over. You mean this area? That looks like a heart. Ah, yeah, it does a bit. Right. I guess they do need to rest as well. Can't be flying all the time, can they? Yeah. Also, I do have a lot of Easter eggs on the map already, and this time I have a text file where I've logged them all, and I've put in what they are, and then I've also put in another line where they are. So I might release the list of what they are, so then people can drive themselves mad by combing them up for them. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? Yep. Okay, so we're all caught up on chat, so let's get to building, as I've previously already threatened. So, firstly, I want to put in a gate here, because there's supposed to be access to the tracks over here. So I usually use these two gates. This one's a closed one, that's the open one. I mostly use the closed one, but sometimes I do like to put a little open one in where someone's either not closed it properly, or someone's been trespassing and just decided that it doesn't really matter if they close the gate because, well, they're breaking the rules anyway. Oh wait, no, stop the building, there's more chat. Oh yeah, release a hardcover booklet published through N3V of all the Easter eggs and secrets on your Third Rail Network DLC route. I mean, if I ever did that for any of my projects, then it would most certainly be part of an ARG. And then I want a specific dirt track that I've already know that I've used over here by Oscom, where, by the way, yes, I did make this golf course. And yes, it does make sense, sort of. Well, it does make sense. There's a lot of detail work around here. But this is the road I wanted to get, Dirt Road 2. I keep losing the places where I'm building on this route. Get rid of that little gradient there. And then this will just sort of connect onto there, like that. Nice. A little bit of access there. So now it's time to think about where I want the actual houses to go. So I want this area up here to be full of houses, and a little bit on the right here as well. Oh, hello, BGR, Elisa, hello. It's a hybrid golf course, crazy golf course. Oh, by the way, Ryan, you weren't the one who left that comment on my YouTube video asking for the industry help, were you? Because someone left a... Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, because someone left... Oh no, that's not you. Someone left a comment asking for industries on my tutorial. So, actually, okay, we'll get to building in a moment. I'll just quickly, while I'm at it, I'll just quickly do a little demo for how to set up the industries. It'll only take a couple minutes. So, one second. So, I use the multiple industries new asset. There are other multiple industries on the DLS. Some of them are broken, others aren't. Although there may be a bug in the newest service pack as of the time of recording this, where they might also be a little broken, but that's been unable to be reproduced by N3V. So this is how they're supposed to work. So in older versions of Trainz, you could load and unload a commodity at the same location and it would work fine. It would just switch from place to place. But since I think Trainz on New Era or something like that, that doesn't work. You've got to, if you're loading and unloading the same industry, the same commodity, you have to do it at separate industry objects like this. So for example, if you've got general goods, you want them to be loaded and unloaded at the same industry, you've got to have 2 separate tracks for that. Otherwise it'll just either unload everything and then load it, at which point you'd never be able to effectively unload everything and have it stay unloaded, or it's the other way around. So the way to set them up is, got a track there, this one's going to be for loading. So you, hold on, activity log, can I not pull that down? Actually, that's fine. Yeah, so you go to queues, you select an industry, a commodity, like for example, general goods. Is that the right? Yeah, that's the right one. Then if you go to the products, you can select what type of units it uses. At the moment, it uses tons or liters or items. So for general goods, I usually use items. So 1 item is equal to one unit of the thing. So then you can select the maximum size up here. The size is how much of this the industry can hold before it's full. Sorry. So let's select like 14. Then the items, that's how much it's got loaded currently. So 14 would make it full, 7 would be half. I'll set it to 0 for now. And then if you go to tracks, you can add the product that you've got in the queue there. And then you can choose whether it should, so it's still got load into vehicle and unload from vehicle as the default option, but that's outdated. As far as I know, that doesn't work anymore because it tries to do both things right after each other. Where previously it would do one thing when you stopped, and then if you started and stopped again, it would try to do the other thing, but that's not how it works anymore. So if you click on that, you can choose to either load into vehicle or unload from vehicle. Now, for an industry track where you're supposed to stop there and load your trains, you set that to load into vehicle, go to processes, and then you'll want to have things be produced here. So it turns nothing on the left, so you leave the left empty, but on the right, it turns nothing into general goods. And then this ticks over every so many seconds. So at the moment it's 30 seconds. So if you set it to 60 seconds, then the producer ticks over every minute. And then here you can select how many units it produces per time it ticks. So in this case, I've set it to 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, it produces, say, 10 items. So the way this is set up, if you can load general goods from here, and it can hold a maximum of 14 items, and it produces 10 every minute. Now, if this is supposed to unload cars instead, then you need to go to tracks and select unload. Unload from vehicle. So a full train goes here and it unloads. At that point, you will also want to remove the thing on the right and instead put it on the left, so that things that are delivered here get turned into nothing on the right. And again, you can select how many times, like how often this processing ticks over. If you put 60, that's once every minute. And then how many items get consumed by the industry every time it ticks. Now, you can also have it change one commodity to another. So for example, if I wanted to unload lumber here and have that be turned into general goods, I can add another item over in the queues. So here, lumber. and then go to the products. I'm going to turn that to items as well. And you can also select specifically which vehicles it's supposed to be loaded into, but I don't usually mess with that. So if you want to, you can have them be in the same queue, which means they're going to have the same maximum amount of items that they can have. And if if all of the stuff in here is less than the amount needed, it'll show up on waybills. But that I wouldn't bother with that usually. If you want to have them be in separate amounts, then you can remove that there and add it in a different queue. So go over here and say, I want it to be able to hold a maximum of, I don't know, 26 lumber, but only 14 general goods. You can do it like that. So general goods size is 14, lumber is 26. And you're going to have to, actually, no, you remember that, nice. So then if I wanted it to unload the lumber and then to load the general goods on the same track, you add that over here. I'm going to turn the general goods to load into vehicle, the lumber into unload from vehicle, and then processes. On the left is the thing that'll be consumed. So you put the lumber in there, so it'll eat the lumber, and it'll produce general goods on the other side. So what's on the left side of the arrow is going to get consumed, on the right side is going to get produced. And again, you can select how often that ticks, so 60 seconds, every 60 seconds, for example. You can say it consumes 2 lumber and it produces 1 general good. So yeah, and then that's set up and that'll work. So at this point, with this setup, like this, like what I've got it here now, this is going to, you'll be able to deliver lumber here, and it'll turn that into general goods, which you will then be able to pick up. Now, if you want it to be split across 2 different tracks, so you want lumber to be unloaded on this track, but then you want another track where you'll load the general goods from, then as far as I know, if you're using multiple industries like this, so you add another industry there, on the other side there, and then you configure that one to be the general goods pickup and this one to be the lumber drop-off, for example, as far as I know, there's no way to link them. I know that there's this tracks tab here, where it says you can put them in the same track or stuff like that, implying that you can have multiple tracks. But as far as I know, there's no way to actually connect them so that they work with each other. So you'd have to set the left one up as purely a consumer and the right one as purely a producer, or whichever way you want that. Which may not be ideal, but there are also pre-built industries on the DLS that are set up with multiple tracks to do that, but that's not always going to be available. So yeah, I hope that solves any issues you were having. If not, feel free to either stop by on Trainz live stream and explain what the issues are in chat, or you can go on Discord and ask there. So yeah, I hope that helps. Right, now chat. Who's still awake? Let's do a little eye count. Each eye counts for 0.5. That way we'll have the correct number of people who are awake. And yes, if you've only got one eye open, that means you're only half awake. Okay, yeah. Good news, we found... okay. Yeah, I am gonna read the things Elisa's saying, but I'm not gonna read it out loud because I do want to get some building done in the interest of saving time. No. Okay. There's one you can place on slopes as well. A multiple industry, yes. What's the future? I've got the aperture signs, aperture tag to work this afternoon. Nice. Okay, good. over here we're clicking a major entity port from infra to gmod. So map logic of my port will work. Nice. Okay. Can't go as a beaver. Eat the lumber, yeah. Since when are beavers marsupials? Aren't there beaver-like marsupials? I think there were. I think there are beaver-like marsupials. Who's still awake? Yeah. It's 3:47. Kind of hard, to be honest. Oh, you mean 3:47 a.m. for you? Or p.m.? Koalas? No, I didn't mean koalas. I meant something else. Raise his finger. Aye. Haha. Okay, so, building. Yeah, 3 a.m. Ah, okay, well, in that case, feel free to go to fall asleep if you want. Right, so I want to actually use a scrapbook asset that I've got for like kind of distant townscapes. Here we go. Just to kind of block in where the houses are going to be. And then I'm going to modify it to fit the situation better. So let's just set that to like 35 meters radius. And then let's just kind of paint that in here. So I want houses to be over here. And probably also a little bit coming around this way. Sort of like that, I think. Does that look good, like placement-wise? Like where the houses are going to be? No, that's too close. That's too low down on the hill. I don't want them to be this low down on the hill, I don't think. No, that's too close. So what I'm going to do is select the grass brush that I've got, like the scrapbook brush, with textures turned off, splines turned off, just the meshes set to overwrite, and then I can use it as basically an eraser tool, essentially. Does that look better? And I always try to get like a view from what it would look like when you're driving along, approaching it, because like that's the most important thing, is like your like point of view and what angles you're going to have and what's going to be obstructed and that sort of thing. Yeah, that feels much better distance wise. Then once you've come through here, yeah, that looks okay. I think I need them to come down here a little bit more. So I'll just kind of paint this in like that. What does that look like if when you're approaching from up here? Because you can, with a long enough render distance, you can already see it from way back here. I mean, with trees between the houses, that'll look fine. Oh, hey, Vicky. Nice to have you. Welcome. So yeah, that'll look, I think that'll look okay with trees between the houses back there. But then as you come around, you come through here, you're not going to see anything in there. And then depending on what the scenery is going to be like over here, yeah, I like how that looks. And then as you're getting closer, yeah, that looks good. That looks good distance-wise. Fun times at 3 a.m. Will this town have an industrial district? I don't think so, no. because while in real life it might, there's really no point in going. There are only really two reasons why you would go through the effort of building that, of recreating it in a Trainz map, or representing it in a Trainz map. One, if you've got industries that are served by trains, or two, if the tracks go through it. Like over here at Duckley, for example, I've got an industrial area on the side that the trains go right next to. So that's, of course, important to have there. Same as up here. I've got this industrial area where the trains are going through. But over here at Hepperswaith, I want this to feel much more rural and much more countryside-y and idyllic and that sort of thing. So having that wouldn't really be that useful, unless I wanted it to be like in the distance. Like I guess I could, if I wanted to, I could put some big warehouses like over in this area there, but I don't think I want to. Although if you want me to plaster the entire countryside with big warehouses, then no. Why would you want that? They're supposed to be beautiful, not a dystopian nightmare of industry. I know that there are railways running through here, and railways were a big thing in accelerating industry in the first place, but that's not, we're not talking about that. Where's Travis Parkinson's? Juicin? No. Nah. Waves phonetically. I'm currently waiting for a Fallout server to load on Gmod. Well, I mean, in that case, you had better stop the stream, because that's eating up bandwidth, so it's going to take longer to load in if you've got the stream up. On the other hand, having the stream up is going to keep you entertained while you're waiting, so you've kind of got to weigh the options there. Whiskey Alpha Victor Echo. Wavo? Wavo. Echo. Whiskey Alpha Victor Echo. So, Wavo. I'm joking. Right. After all, what have Where's this ever done for us? Anyway, I need to put a little fence along here. So actually, yeah, let's reuse this fence asset that I've got up here. Just a little 4-bar wooden fence. And that'll just sort of connect up to the property line there. That looks almost good, but the posts are on, like, that's a weird thing with this asset. The posts are not really attached to the same, like to the railings. You see the posts are freestanding in the curve. Like the distance to them shifts depending what the curve is like. So if I want to use this asset in curves, I've kind of got to insert spline points. Well, actually, I can't insert spline points because it forces you to have one in the middle. So I guess I'm just going to separate the spline points there to force it to be in a straight line. Although, how does that look? Yeah, that looks better. Although I'm still not entirely sure that I want this spline here. I think I'm gonna undo that. And I'm gonna replace it with the 3-bar fence that I have. Let's see how that looks. Because I've got a very specific feeling in mind that I want the area to feel like. And so I need to make sure that all the steps that I take toward are actually steps towards that. How does that look? Yeah, that looks a lot better. Yeah, I like that. Although I do have to pull that in a little bit more like this. There we go. Nice. Now I will also put a little bit of grass line over the little hill by the bridge, just so that I have a bit of a better idea of what it'll feel like when it's finished. Do it the other way because of the way the spline curves. We'll just put that in there like that. Then maybe pull this over a little bit more to the fence. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Although to pull this back slightly. GModRP is a cesspit. I've no experience with it. I'm just like, bye. Sure, bye-bye. Saving you from losing brain cells. Yeah, I guess it entirely depends on the server and people within. But well, Iron Rebar Fence 05. I have had that issue with my own Rails too. No idea why. Trainz content creation is full of random specific strangeness. I think if you want to fix it, the meshes have to be joined together. Because I think, I mean, I've not made splines myself yet, but the way I think that it works is that it repeats the objects. And so if you've got separate objects, then they're going to be put as close as possible on that. Is it? I don't know. I've not tried myself. I can't really say. So now the question is about the roads up here. How is that gonna go? Because I've got the little cobbled road on the retaining wall. I've got this road kind of connecting in here, and then I've got this road coming out over the hill. Actually, the first thing I'll do is I'll rotate the brush by 45 degrees, like the town brush, and then I'm just gonna go over some of this with that brush, like sort of in these shapes like that, to kind of break up the grid a little bit, so that if you're looking at it, you won't really see long straight roads going through in a kind of a grid shape. And though there's a little bit of that there, but we can use that by putting a road along here. And this is just the planning phase still. So we just put that sort of along there. And then we'll delete some of the houses that are obviously in the way. Yeah, those two too. That one as well. So now how is this gonna work? Let's see, what's chat saying? Plonker Tesco down. Maybe. Some are going to be coded as straights. Some are going to be coded as bendy, as you saw with that fence and the post. Some of the meshes. No, Shirley's. These houses have been standing since 1800s. Well, the stream archive would argue. Hebberswaith would so have a Tesco IRL. Yeah, it would. So let's see about what I want up here. So you're going to be able to look through this little bit, so it might be worth having something of interest over here. I could just put in a little... I suppose it would it be a... I guess I could put in a roundabout there, but that would be a little bit too overkill for just this little road there. So how about instead I just connect that up there, straighten that, and then see about just connecting that up. And I'm just connecting my roads visually. I'm not, these don't have traffic on them. So depending on how I do the traffic, I'll have to put in invisible roads, but we'll see about that. Right. So then Let's just quickly smooth the ground there. That was a bit too broad, because in sphere 2, the radius actually affects the maximum radius that the ground is smoothed to. And then I do want to smooth this a little bit as well, because they've actually changed how the smoothing works, because previously, if I smoothed that, it would like straighten the thing out. But in this version of Trainz, it doesn't. It only does it horizontally from the spline. So if you want to have it be smoother, you're either going to have to modify the terrain yourself, like I'm doing, or you're going to have to have it be like a fixed height spline by modifying the height of one of the vertices of it. Let's do something like that. And then we'll see about this road, because I will want a road coming along here, and then I'll need a road, because we've kind of got this bend here. I think it might look good. Well, first I'll delete that house, then, come on, there we go. I'll want a road going through here, and then maybe having I was thinking like kind of an intersection like that, maybe, where it kind of feeds into that one spot there, but I'm not sure about that yet. Let's try it. So, oh, no, I don't want to grade. So if I did that and then did that the other way, I would have to make sure that this is sort of flat in order to work properly. And then that comes out this way. And then if I pull these together, sort of like that, then the sidewalks kind of match up, which I'm not too fussed about at a bit of a distance, because you're not really gonna look there anyway. But yeah, I like how that looks. If you go a little bit further back, you're gonna have this road curving around that way, and then you're going to see that road curving around this way as well. And that's gonna make it feel a little bit more interesting, even if you're not gonna consciously notice it. By the way, VC today, guys, if anyone wants. Well, I don't think anybody's watching the stream who's usually in VC for these. Well, was usually in VC for these. Right. So, no, not like that. This road, I'll straighten out so it goes through. Actually, is that right? Should they go through there, or should it come out a little bit more? No, that's good. That is good. And then I'll want this to kind of just circle around like that. Actually, let's remove that spline point there, because the actual, yeah, so just sort of like that, but I think I'll add in a couple more just to get this curve how I want it. There we go, sort of like that. Then this road needs to come down this way. And then I may want to, do I want to connect this straight up onto this? No, I think, well, I guess so. But I'll have it be in the turn. So pull that down there. I'll need to, yeah, I'll remove that spline point, straighten this. And then I'll have a curve right there with the road connecting up this way. And that'll be right in the curve. So it'll still come up to the corner, but then it'll curve from there. And then over here, let's do this in Surveyor 2.0. By the way, I've rebound the contextual menu to spacebar because that's just so much easier to hit. That's also what it was in Blender for a really long time, because you use the context menu in Blender all the time as well. Do I need to straighten this out or not? I think I'll probably want this to be another road that continues across, actually. So let's replace it with this asset that doesn't have any sidewalks. Let's straighten that. Arrange it. Save. All right, Lisa's gone. I do remember those days fondly though. Trainz Live number 70. Trainz Live number 70. Well, which one was that? Was that the one with Mr. W in chat or Eagle in chat, or who was there? Who was it? Oh yes, Mr. W. Was that the one where I was building the power pylon stuff? Oh, right. Yep. Right, so then this will continue straight on from there. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it-ish. Straighten that out, but I'll decrease the length of it to just about that, because I do want there to be enough of a gap between the roads so that the houses that'll be there fill up enough space. Because obviously the more space each property fills up, the less assets I have to place and the better performance will be and the faster I'll be able to build it. Although this road does need to have a sidewalk. At least, yeah, it'll have to have a sidewalk all the way along here. Yeah, like that. There we go. That's such a useful feature of Surveyor 2.0. Just selecting the specific assets and replacing them like that. And then it would just be great if like the plateau tool or gray tool or whatever would be more easily accessible. Because at the moment, even though I have to switch to the other editor, go over, go there, go back, do the thing, it is faster than going over here, making sure ground height is selected, then going over here, selecting grade tool, changing the radius by clicking in there, typing, pressing enter, then going here, clicking, selecting, going 100% sensitivity, and then starting drawing. It's still, the other one's still faster, which is a bit of a shame because ideally you'd want the tools in the new thing to be at least as good as the old tools, if not better. Right, I'm just going to move these over slightly, but on the main road going through here, that you're going to be able to look up when you look like that. I'm probably going to I'm probably going to place, well, my own assets along here, like customly. Also, with the parallax textures, sometimes when you look at things from a low angle, they poke through like that. And so I just turn the radius and severity down on the brushes and just dig a little bit of a divot, just the little clicks to make sure that you don't see that, because that doesn't look great. Although sometimes you're not able to really do that, because sometimes It's just the grid's not small enough. Or you've got things aligned to ground height that you can't not have aligned to ground height. It immediately left Central Europe showcase stream. Yes. Gabbard Castle, what a place. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because why go to the trouble of making new tools if they're not going to be better? Well, you could answer that in a variety of ways. So let's have a look over here, because as indicated by this little patch of field, I do want there to be a field over here, and I do want it to kind of take up sort of this space there. And then I want to have a hedge there and another field going over here, and then I do want this area over here to be a lot more open, like without fields, like just be a big grazing area, because you're already seeing that from over here basically. So it's just on the other side of that ridge up there. And so I do think that it would be a nice contrast if on this side you've got like little cut up fields and stuff like that, and over on this side you've only got maybe a couple of them, and then the open area just starts there. I might put some trees on this little ridge line, or maybe a little bit behind it, so that from here it looks like there's more scenery there and it's not just empty. Right. I think it's a case of differing visions. Programmers want things to be specific, but everyone else just wants it done, and they don't care about exact numbers, etc. It depends. I'm really glad that you can put in exact numbers. Like, that's a really positive thing. But on the other hand, it does make it slower. So you kind of need to compensate for that. Like, if I were designing Surveyor 2.0 for the height tools, I would probably just have like maybe the alpha numbers, like at the top of the keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I'd have those be settable, so that if you do the tool selection over here, you select which tool you want, you change all the settings however you want, and then if you pressed, I don't know, like Control 1, for example, it would save those settings to the 1 key. So then no matter what the settings are, anytime I press 1, well, instead of going into the cab mode in Surveyor, it would actually, well, actually, yeah, maybe those, then maybe it would be like Shift 1 or something. You press Shift 1, and then it would set all of the tool settings to what you saved, in which case you could, in a fraction of a second, switch between having the brush like in grade mode, like if you want to like just smoothen something, you can quickly press Shift 2 to set it to set height with maybe a lower radius, or maybe Shift 3 to set height with a larger radius. Maybe you could even have some specific filters set over here, like if you only want to select splines with the move tool active, then you could do maybe Control 4, and you could do stuff like that. In which case, that would give you all of the specific numbers that you've got over here with the kind of unified tools that they've got, but it would also speed up the workflow even more. But they've not done that. Although Surveyor 2.0 is still in development, as far as I'm aware. It's not fully functional yet, I think. I hope that they're still developing parts of it, but anyway, I mean, that's how I would have done it as a game developer myself, but yeah. Oh well. Viaducting the shallow river reminds me of Royal Border Bridge. Ooh, let's have a look. Kanga posts a link. Oh, I see. Does look a bit like it, although this is much taller than my bridge. But yeah, I can see the resemblance. Oh, would love to spot trains on Berwick upon Tweed, yeah. I know you meant Berwick upon Tweed, like that's the actual thing, but I wasn't sure if you were making a pun or not, so I was trying to read it as typed. What? Hitting one surveyor goes into cab mode? Yeah, because it's unified surveyor driver, so yeah. It's the same reason that if you go into like flying camera mode like this, and then if you press 4, it goes back into roaming camera, or if you've changed the field of view, which by the way, that's another thing. You can't change the field of view in Surveyor 2.0. Like I've set it so that, like the keybind, I've set if I hold Command and do the scroll wheel, it changes the field of view. If I go to Classic Surveyor, you can see how I can zoom out or zoom in like this. It doesn't do that in Surveyor 2.0. It just moves the camera further away or closer. But if you press 4 again, like it's already in free roam camera, so if you press 4 again, it resets the field of view to the default. So that still works, but the actual field of view changing is broken, which is annoying. Anyway, let's put the roads in. Since this is getting more into the countryside and there are going to be fields around, I think that having a road with a sidewalk only on one side is probably going to be a bit more pleasant. It's going to be a bit more of a positive change. So I'm going to take that, place it all the way around here. I'm going to double click that to select the entire spline. I'm going to change that to 5. Yeah, I know. Don't have to tell me. And then smooth, just so I can see what it looks like. Well, actually, I'm probably not going to use 5. I'm probably going to use like 25 or something, so that the houses are a little bit... Yeah, that looks a bit better. Look good? Looks good. And then I'll use a road with the line on it to kind of come out here, and then that's going to cut straight in that way. And then I need to have an intersection here, and because that's still really close to the tracks, I'm going to actually have the sidewalks make sense. This one I think needs to be, does that need to be? Yeah, that does need to be straightened, but yeah, I'll put in another spline point there and then just kind of pull that one out, because I do want that little curve in there. It's a little too close. That needs to go back a little bit like that. And this needs to curve a little bit around there. Although, again, I'm going to put some hand-placed houses along here. Now let's make sure that this is actually flat. Ish. Yes, this is going to be a little tricky, because actually I'm going to flatten that to about this height, I think. Because that does need to be flat for the roads to line up properly. And then I'll just kind of push that back a little bit. Smoothen it out slightly like that. I'll push that back up here to have this be a reasonable slope. Yeah, that looks good. And I'll push the terrain this way a little bit as well, so that you can actually see it from the tracks a little bit better. Well, if you zoom out a bit. Right. Or maybe numpad keys. Yeah. Yeah, programmable presets are awesome and are a must, to be honest. Shakes head in agreement. Berwick. It's pronounced Berwick. Ah, interesting. Could have managed to... Yeah, it's fine. What do you mean you won't tell me in the future? You'll... Well, okay, sure. But if it says Anthony Sarson 2 or anything with Anthony Sarson, don't do it yet. Fun fact, the line of a road is called the median. Median strip. If there's a median strip, is there an average or a mean strip? Maybe, but those are smarter than your average strip. Probably, yeah. I just noticed that it's very, very hilly. This isn't very, very hilly. This is slightly hilly. Very slightly hilly. Even though it's really annoying to work with, most of my towns are hilly because it just looks so much more realistic and better. Like this is a little bit more hilly over here. Like this is getting a little bit hillier on this side. Yeah, but the hilliest town I've got has got to be Hadley Head. Because over here that you can see the whole thing is pretty much on a slope on both sides as the railway comes in through here. So yeah, this took ages to place all the buildings and stuff. But yeah, this I would say is very, very hilly. The other thing, not so much. Yeah, so that's Hadley Head. You've now seen Hadley Head. Let's get back to Hepperswaith. Mean strip. Kind of sounds like an abnormal band name. Right, so let's make sure that I've got the correct type of road in here. Oops. Nope. There we go. Like that. Smooth it out a little bit, although I have to be careful because there's a little bit of a height difference there between the two. Ooh, that's not the tool I wanted. I wanted the plateau tool, not the set height tool. Just sort of like that. And yeah, that's Hepperswaith finished. Right, we'll ship it like this. Now let's get over to the next area over here. No, I know, we won't. We won't ship it like this because of obvious reasons. Also, speaking of, is there an updated UK traffic region for 1922? I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, you can make your own ones fairly easily, if I recall correctly. It's just, like, if you want to know how those are made, so, like, this is one I made for the MVR to remove some assets and add a couple more assets in. But if I just show you this reveal in Finder, this is all that a traffic asset is. You've just got the thumbnail, and then you've got a config. Now in the config, you've got 1 second. Yeah, you've just got the basic information, and then you've just got car 0, 1, 2, whatever, and then the KOD table featuring them as well, so they're dependencies. So it's really easy to set one up if you can find the correct assets. Oh, I know how they're made. Oh, right. It's just that if someone already did it, I don't want to do it on my own. If you go here to category, I think is there a region? No, I think there isn't a region. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I was looking for before. Yeah, there sadly isn't a region there. But yeah, looking for, yeah, I don't know what to say, sorry. Did you ask for permission or something? I assume it's not needed since they're just dependencies. Yeah, I didn't, because you're not modifying their assets. You're just linking to them. You're not doing anything with their assets. They've already uploaded them to the DLS. They've already given permissions for them to be there. You're not redistributing them. They're not modifying them. You're not doing anything other than referencing them. But that's just the way I see it. I suppose you'd have to read through the whole user agreement when you update. Because when you upload an asset to the DLS, you have to agree to an agreement first. So I suppose if you read through that whole thing, then it'll tell you. But yeah, if I modify any asset, like repainting it or doing anything like that, then of course I only do that with expressed permission from the author, unless the author has already waived their rights, which some of them do. So I think Dave Snow did that on a forum. So, but yeah. Right, so roads. Yeah, we need some sort of Colossus, I think. I think I'll put in the field first, because that's gonna be quite a dramatic shift. Also, one thing I've noticed is that if you put 100% sensitivity in here, then that produces much sharper edges much more quickly if you paint than the classic surveyor did. Right, so I'll just kind of bring this over here, maybe up to there, pull it up, and just have that connect up like that. Does that, yeah, that feels nice space-wise. So now, actually, let's read chat. Oh, that's neat to know with the sharp painted edges. No new. Like if you only put it to like 1% and then you draw, you can see how long you've got to draw for the texture to actually show up and how smooth the edges are when you do. But if you do 100%, then it just paints on so quickly that, yeah. So, I do want the edges to have the proper directions. So I will reduce that to 5 meters, kind of just draw that in like this. And then a little bit over here. And then I'll just draw these. Actually, I'll increase the size a little bit more. And I'll just draw this in horizontally on the side. Sort of comes up to there. And then a little bit in there. A little bit in there. Now I'll reduce that to 5 meters. Yeah, that's... I mean, if you're down here, it looks better than not having it. Let's just fix that down there a little bit, because that had the other direction still visible through it. Gotta do a little bit here. There we go. So now it looks like the plow's kind of gone in that direction along here. And I know that I've still got to smooth this out. I will, don't worry. Well, do worry, but not about that. Joking. Joking. That's a little bit too far. Sort of like that. Okay. Yeah, this looks a lot better. So now I go back to the plateau tool, because the plateau tool is much more useful for smoothing than the grade tool is, for reasons that I detailed in my previous live stream. If you want to hear me complain about that, watch that. So there we go, just going to smooth that out a little bit. That already looks much nicer, although it's not great there yet. I still have to smooth that out slightly. Also, with smoothing, you do have to be conscious that if you smooth here, it makes the edges steeper, so then you've got to smooth the edges as well a little bit. Right. So good. When are you gonna move the pink in? Soon-ish. Oh, that building clipping the sidewalk? This one, yeah. Darkens stores, it says, but it's supposed to be an inn. At least that's how I'm going to use it. So I want that to be at this location, probably like here. I do want it to be sort of visible when you're coming in, and it is when you're coming in like that. Is it visible when you're coming like this? Not really. I mean, I do like the orientation like this. Although it does mean you only see the empty side of it coming this way. So I might kind of clip another building into the edge here, maybe. We'll see. And then I want to have like maybe some tables out front and maybe a tree or something out back. Just smoothen the height underneath it a bit. I know that's very close to the field, but I do want it to be as visible as possible behind this ridge. Well, yeah. Okay, so that looks like a very cozy place. Yeah. I do like putting, I mean, even though I don't spend much time in them myself, I do like putting inns and taverns around. So, yeah, I mean, there are quite a few really cozy places around. Like, for example, in Marefell over here. Like the line comes in from the coastal, well, the coast there, and they cross over this viaduct with a little village of Marefell down below, and you've got a lot of cozy little houses and cottages along here as well. Same thing as over here. Plus, there are also the houses up here, which of course have an excellent view of the bay, with the trains going right beneath it. Also, you've got this little restaurant up here where they put the tables out there. So then as you're sitting here in the shade of the palm tree, you can just watch the trains coming and going from both directions, which has got to be a fun place to film from or photograph from. Anyway, back to building. Well, first back to saving. It looks very much like Italy, that restaurant with the tables. Oh, that is completely coincidental, but I'll take it as a compliment, even though it was probably just an observation. Trainspotting episode number 5 at Merfell Viaduct, featuring BR Class 52, Hadley Head, Starstreak Diesel Rail Tour. I see. Right. So, by the way, I do still place a lot of like trackside splines in Severe Classic, because the spline point circles are just so useful for spacing. I know that in Severe 2.0, you do have these rulers that you can space things out very precisely with, which are really, really useful for precise measurements. But if you just want something to be roughly the same distance apart, then just having this big circle above the spline points is so useful. And Severe 2.0 just doesn't have anything to kind of take that place. Like, yes, I could select this spline, move it over, but then it would be an exact copy of it. And also it wouldn't work around curves. But yeah, so here I've got it aligned so that the circle is just sort of on the opposite rail. So I'll just put a little bit down here, move that over so it's just around the opposite rail, and then I'll just keep adding the spline points like that, of course holding shift so that it doesn't connect to any other splines. Okay, and then I'll just connect that over to here where the railing of the bridge is. And that looks pretty good, except that that's getting a little bit too close, I think. Just a little bit, because of the way that the curve is going. Yeah. See, that was so easy. Except for that little bit. This is just a little bit too close still. But that was so easy. And in Severe 2.0, I just have to constantly eyeball the exact distance. Is that like roughly how far away is that? Is that further away than up here or down there? And then if I try to compare it to the other side, the shadow would be in the way, making it difficult to see things. But in Classic, I've just got handy spheres. Well, circles. It's a cross-section of a sphere. I just really wish you could change the radius of the spline point circles in Trainz settings. That would be really good, yeah. It'd be so easy. Something like a place spline offset from other spline. Kind of like how you'd add an outline in a graphic design program. Yeah, that would be really useful as well. In some cases, yeah. That would be very useful. Especially for like electrification work and stuff like that. Sure it is. Maybe also alternate between dry stone walls, wooden fences, barbed wire fences, and hedges. Hedges lining the trackside. I do. Just not on such small sections. Like, I try to keep the things either side the same in like a specific scene. Over here is going to be a difference because this wooden fence is going to come down and meet up with a dry stone wall. And then I'm probably going to keep the dry stone wall coming up to maybe around here. I don't know yet. But then it's somewhere it's going to switch to the barbed wire fence that I've already got on this bit. That's coming up this way. And then here's a little bit of both going along there. And then the barbed wire fence is going to continue on for a little bit more. And then I do also have down here on the other side of Hepperswave, I've got these hedges. Or I suppose they might be wall hedges-ish thing that go either side as the barrier. And then it switches back to the barbed wire, and then it just keeps going, basically. Right. In games like Train Fever and Transport Fever, that's a feature. What do you mean? Oh, you mean like where you can just drag the other spline along the tracks? Yeah. Also, I'm really happy with how this turned out here. The tracks climbing up the hill through here and then crossing over in, like they're already in this curve coming out of the cutting, continuing this curve over the embankment. So you go from a cutting to an embankment with such a great view with the ocean back there, and then it goes straight into a tunnel. I'm really happy with how this scene, this little area here turned out. Not in Trainz though, unfortunately, no. Wow, didn't know that, but I knew they'd have that. Can lay as much tracks as you want next to one, same distance away, but yeah. Would also be cool for you to be able to parent splines to one another. Yeah, I mean, it would be. I mean, the more tools you have to manipulate the things you're building, the easier it is to find something that's specialized to what you need. So yeah, the more tools, the better, pretty much. Even if like with, like here, they decide, the way they've, I actually think that it's pretty good how they've done it in classic Surveyor. We've got the basic tools around here, and then you can open up advanced to get more tools, which you won't need if you're just playing around, getting to grips with the basics of how it works. So you don't need them there to kind of scare away someone who's only just beginning with it. The only thing I would have improved with the way this is done with the advanced tab is to have an option in the settings to have the advanced tabs open by default, because every time I want to adjust the height, or actually the height has a keyboard shortcut, but every time I want to set the grade or something, I'm going to go in here, click on the little advanced text, and then going here to select it. It's just it would be better to have this be open. But this is in Classic. In Surveyor 2.0, they decided to have all the settings on screen at all times, and just having the settings that are relevant be highlighted in yellow. Which also means you share settings between things. So if you are in the middle of doing terraforming, and you want to do a little bit of terrain work, then do a little bit of painting, a little bit of terrain work, in Classic, you could have, like for the terrain work, you could say have a large brush with a really, well, with a sort of medium sensitivity like that for terrain work. Then you could switch over to painting, and you could have a small scale with a really small radius. And actually, is the radius shared here? Oh, it is. That's weird. I didn't think... Was that always the case? I didn't think it was shared. Maybe it was. Or maybe they changed it. I didn't think it was shared. Weird. Oh well. But yeah. But yeah, it does have... There are some uses to having settings specifically to one tool, even if they're like multiple instances of the same setting, like radius and sensitivity or something like that. Because if you switch between tools that are for different purposes, it can be useful to keep those settings, which would be solved with macros. Or I guess, yeah, like hotkeys assignable for settings. So, yeah, bloody stunning, honestly. You're honest about it being bloody and stunning. I see. Is there super elevation on this curve? I have done super elevation on some parts of it, of the map. Others, not yet. And on some bits I need to rework it, because on some bits the transitions are too harsh or weird. So I will need to go over all of the lines and check what the super elevation's like afterwards. I've decided to just do it in a pass at the end. Yeah, 2.0 looks intimidating. It does. It does, yeah. Although once you realize that only the settings that are in yellow, that are highlighted in yellow, actually affect the thing that you're actually, the tool you're currently working with, it becomes a lot less intimidating. Like if I select, although actually that's not entirely true. Why is that? That's weird. I've got that selected. That's weird. Why isn't it updating the settings? It should update the settings when I click on this. Actually, no, it only takes the settings if you use the eyedropper tool, and then it sets the settings to... Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it becomes a lot less intimidating when you realize that. Although it is really nice having the layers panel that you can just always have available to do, and it's really nice being able to arrange the panels however you like to better optimize your workflow. And it's also really nice having a get tool just bound to Alt, so you can just Alt click on the thing and it'll automatically select the right stuff for you to do more of that thing. There are some other complaints I have, like with the grade thing, where it automatically does that, but that's only a pretty minor thing. There is also the thing with, I don't think you can do super elevation yet with Severe 2.0, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, if you do select a track, angle and rotation is gray. It's only track condition and grade, but you can't do super elevation yet with that. If you go to a specific spline point, actually no, if you go to a specific spline point and then click edit details on the spline point, that, yeah, like see, that's another thing, like having the details be hidden in the context menu is like, okay, so it's kind of weird, because on the one hand, if you select an object, you've got the name to edit right here. That's actually the same amount of clicks as it previously was, because previously you'd click on it with the properties tool and then you select the name. But that's fine. You can actually see the name there. You can more easily switch between objects. That's good. But then when it comes to setting the properties of something, like the other properties, like for example of the station, you have to click on the station, then go into the context menu, then click Edit Details. That's a whole lot more work than just going to the Properties tool and then just clicking on there. So it's 2 clicks, whereas previously it's 1 click, spacebar, another click, which given that you've got to move, yeah. Plus, if you want to do, like for example, a lot of properties of something, like for example with super elevation, if I just need to go to Edit Spline Point Detail, so this question tool in advanced, just click there, type in the numbers, click there, type in the numbers, click on the next one, type in the numbers, and so on. So it's just 1 click per thing to get into the menu without having to switch tools or anything. Whereas in Surveyor 2.0, for one thing, it's a lot harder to select the individual spline points because you've actually got to click right near the point to highlight it, so that takes more time. Then it's a click, space, click. So it's, or if you want to do it, so it's 1 click, then either space, or you click the context menu there, so that's counted as 2 clicks, 3 clicks. Which means that for things where you've got to change a lot of properties in one go, like for example, editing super elevation, or I don't know, naming objects for custom crossings like TRC crossings, or naming trackside objects, or setting up signals, or stuff like that. It goes from 1 click per instance of you doing a whole bunch of work, like a whole bunch of instances of this interaction, goes from 1 click to 3 clicks. And that's not an upgrade. That's not an improvement over the old feature. Yeah. Plus, there's also currently, as far as I'm aware, no way of changing the radius of triggers or junctions in Surveyor 2.0, but they may have added it in the update. But I've not installed that update yet. But as far as I'm aware, there is no way of doing that. Because previously in Classic, if you go into the track marks section, you open Advanced, you can change the radius of a trigger. So, for example, and that's also applicable to, not just to triggers or track marks for session rules, but also for junctions, which is how far away a stopped train, no, it's for how close a stopped train needs to be for the junction to be blocked, so you can't change it. If you change that to 1 meter and then click on a junction, you can see that little trigger, the little yellow trigger element appears there. So that works, but there's no, and that also would work for things like this stop sign trigger, well, whistle sign trigger, I mean. But as far as I'm aware, there's no way of doing that in 2.0. Plus also, the inability to move trackside objects along the track is annoying. Because in Classic, of course, if you had a trackside object, let's just use, actually I think it's the same with triggers and stuff. Let's just test that. So if I add this track mark, I can just move it along the tracks and it automatically snaps. Actually no, let's not do that. Let's do something else. Let's do a speed board. That's, well, yeah, let's do a speed board. Say that, well, this is not the right speed board because you can't really see that on stream because it's the old style one. Let's grab this one. Well, nope. I need, hold on. 1 second. Oh, hold on, it doesn't matter. Actually, no, it does matter because otherwise you won't be able to see it. There we go. So let's do the... So if you want to do... Say I've got a speed board here, and I want to move it up a little bit. In Severa 2.0, I can click and drag to move it up, and it'll automatically connect to that point, so it'll work, but it's not actually the right distance. So that to get it to the right distance, I then have to go to space, reattach to track. Whereas in Classic, if you click and drag, it automatically goes. Now, I think that the ability to move trackside objects around is great. That's a huge addition, and I'm so happy that that's part of the game now, because it means that specifically for putting down signals, like for example this signal right here, I've managed to move that around so it's attached to the bridge like that, whereas previously the default position would be up here somewhere. And I've used that a lot in specifically my signal placements, but also other instances. So it's a great feature, and overall it's a really great improvement, but it can also be a little bit annoying. Again, it would be good if you could just, if there was a little trigger, well, not trigger, a little, what would you call it? A setting. If there was a setting to have the, like, always reattach. Yeah? Like if in the move tools, if you right click on the move tools icon, if you right click there, and then if there were a whole bunch of settings and one of them were always reattach, you can click to enable, click to disable. So then if you knew you were going to do that, just right click, always reattach, and then you can move, and then you've got the old way of doing it, right click, click again, and then it's the way that you can move them freely now. So that would be so fast, so fluid to do, and you would have no negative side effects of it. Like, you could do it however you need it in whatever situation you're working with. But that's not the case. Right, so now let's just move this fence downward a bit. And I'll actually move it... I'll move it up to there, and then I'll extend the dry stone wall a little bit. Although another really good thing is that you can actually, the way you can select multiple assets and replace. Like if I want to replace this, all of this track, just selecting that, well, like from here to there, that's a lot easier, or double clicking to select. Or just double clicking an asset to select all of the assets in an area of that type to replace them. That's really nice. And also being able to paint under a specific selection, that's really, really nice. Although one thing is that I would like to see added is, like, say if I put a whole bunch of splines in there like that. Say if I wanted to move all of the ends of these, like I can select multiple splines, and I can move them together as a group, which is great. Also, the ability to duplicate assets is great, and the ability to rotate multiple assets together and to be able to rotate on all of the axes is great. However, I can select multiple spline points. You can see I've got those 3 little green dots there selected. So I've got all 3 selected, but then if I move it, it only moves the last one that I selected. It doesn't move all of them. So selecting multiple spline points, even though you can do it, as far as I know, is completely useless other than deleting. So for deleting, it counts, and being able to apply the height and stuff like that, but yeah. Suggest these in the Trainz Discord. I don't know. I think that there's already been a lot of feedback about which features are good and which features could be improved upon. And as far as I'm aware, a lot of that has not yet been acted upon. So I don't really know how much of a thing that'd be. It's also nice to have the outlines of what you're building. So for example here, it's much easier, like if I'm putting the grass under the wall like that, it's much easier to tell how far away the grass actually is from the tracks, like how much it's overlapping in the shadows, which does make it a lot easier. So yeah, I'm just gonna, oh yeah, we've already gone past 11 o'clock. So I'm just going to quickly put this grass along here and on the other side as well, and then we're gonna end it there. And then I'll add a little bit over here as well, just to have a little, have the grass be on both sides equally, well, equally-ish. Just need to make sure to get the angle right up here. There we go, that's good. So get that over a little bit more. And I've not decided if I want the grass to be underneath the fence. Well, actually no, I do think that I want it to be underneath the fence as well. So I'll quickly add that. Sometimes I alternate if I go from close to further or from further to close, because that'll actually invert the orientation of the spline. And most splines, including this one, aren't exactly symmetrical. As you can see, the left side is a lot steeper, the fall of the height of the grass, than the right. And so that can add quite a bit of variety, but in this case, it's fine like this. And I'm going to add grass splines on the slope here as well. Actually, I might as well quickly do that. Hold on. I'll be with you in a moment to read chat, and then we're going to end the stream. Make sure that I've got this the right way around. Yeah, you can see one side is a bit concave, the other one's a bit more convex. Like the curve in the spline where the grass meshes are placed. And then I like to overlap them a little bit and make sure that I sometimes fill in like this concave shape a little bit on some of the repetitions of the spline, to make it look like it's repeating less than it is. And then I've just got to put like one more sort of there without it repeating. And then I can use another spline to fill that in quickly. Where did I last use that? Hold on. It would have been over here. Somewhere. Ah, yes, here we go. Where was I? I was over here. Over here. Make sure that the grade is set to nothing. Then just connect that up like that. Okay, and then I'll put some like bush assets or maybe some flowers or something along here. Although that, I don't like that little empty space there. I'm just going to put a little bit of this spline in here, just crisscross it a little bit, and then over here as well. Just sort of like this. That feels much better. Like this. Okay, right. So I'll get a thumbnail off stream. So then I'll read Discord, and then I'll read Twitch, and then I'll end the video. All of those things make perfect sense. So 2.0 looks intimidating. It's like you're messing around in Unreal or Unity rather than something a casual user would use. Yeah, but actually I was really pleased to have that because I use Unity. I'm a game developer, so I know all of those tools, and having the precision and the control with tools like that, and actually having the gizmos when you select something to move it along the specific axes or rotate it, it feels like something that should have been implemented many years ago. Oh yeah, I do suppose advanced route builders are the target audience. Feels more like you're developing a whole game in S2.0, exactly. Which, don't get me wrong, is useful, but sometimes, as Shardais pointed out, sometimes you just need something put down. Yeah, that's true. It is true. Both have their pros and cons, and giving the user as much control to customize the editor means that as few people as possible are going to be annoyed with you. And customizing the editor does also include keyboard shortcuts and things like macros and stuff like that. And enabling and disabling certain features. Barn, dust, house. Saw that. Alright, Henry Bandel for his house. I see. Yeah. A homage to the J Valley line, I bet. Trigger radius. Suggest signal toggle. Fix distance to track. Or just do a free movement toggle for the track set objects. Yep. Yeah, because after all, what have the angels ever done for us? The angels, yeah. Are you planning to put some bushes near the retaining wall of that bridge? The low-res textures threw me off. Oh, wait, do you mean over here? Do you mean these low-res textures, yeah? Probably. When you're driving, when the scenery's finished and you're driving, it's not going to be that obvious. Like, for example, over here is some of the low-res texture. But if you're driving, even if you've got your camera, I mean, here there are some bushes around, but it's not that obvious. But over here, for example, I do have a bit of a low-res texture for the embankment coming in here. But if you're driving along here, going in, you're not really going to notice. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm gonna make it look good. It's gonna look good. And you can convince yourself of that once it's finished by buying it and then not writing a complaint, because it does actually look good. Crisscross. Wait, you'll read Discord right now? Well, bye. Okay, bye-bye, Vicky. Other bridge, FMA 1. Not that one, yeah. I love how quickly you were all... I was only looking at this bridge for like, at the most, like maybe 1.5 seconds. And you were so quick to write the correction in chat. Right. Flowers up top too. Yeah, I already showed those. I already said that I had flowers up there to make it feel like a little branch line that's not used that much. Right, so thank you all very much for watching. Create backups of your routes. Like after every after every session, like every development session that I have, like every time I work on the root, I export my root and default session as a CDP and create backup of it on multiple drives. So yeah, a puppy, a fireweed, walk into a bar, and a fireweed. Right, so thank you everybody for watching, and good night. Bye bye. It was lovely having you all.